God and Father in heaven, thank you for this day. Thank you for the many blessings you bestowed upon us. Thank you for seeing us through the storms of life as well as the storms last week. We now ask that you take a look down us and take care of our city business. Give us wisdom to make the decisions you would have for the betterment of the city. Watch over each and every one of us. Watch over our soldiers on the battlefield. Remember the bereaved, the shut in, and all these things we ask in your Son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Stand, pledge allegiance for our flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gentlemen, you always have the agenda before you. Do we need to make any amendments or modifications to the agenda? Hearing none, I entertain a motion that we approve the agenda. Mr. Johnson has made a motion that we approve the agenda as recorded. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Griffin. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have an agenda set. We were looking for Mr. Googe, the chairman of the zoning committee, but apparently something's happened. But Ms. Verdes Lopez was there, our clerk, and she was in a meeting, and she's going to give you an update on what happened in the zoning committee meeting.
The other day when we had the meeting, the Curry Street project that we had talked about previously before, the sign was moved down there in the timely fashion. There was no one present for the public hearing to go against anything. And basically what the zoning committee was wanting to do is let the council know that they're wanting to move forward and moving that property from industrial to residential, which is R3, which will give the people in that community, if something were to happen to their property, they would be able to rebuild, or they can go in and remodel, allowing the property owners also, if they want to build projects there. And that's basically what they're able to do now, but they wanted to present that to council and get the approval Thursday night.
Any questions about the report from Ms. Lopez?
So you're saying that's a zoning committee recommendation?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And I assumed that he just didn't come to the work session, that he would be here Thursday night with that. But I think, you know, they've jumped through all the loops.
Yes, sir.
On step by step, by everything that's supposed to. The letters, I'm sure, went out to everybody.
Yes, sir.
And everything has been done, and they're ready now for us to approve their recommendation.
Do we have to do it tonight? Or
No,
Okay, so we-
Thursday night,
okay.
yeah. Okay, Mr. Craig, you're next. If you would come forward right there.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to say my appreciations to Mr. Johnson, Mr. Professor, Mr. Bennett, Mayor, everyone, Mr. Griffin, all of you. Just appreciate this opportunity. What we're here for, we brought a couple people. We're at Impact Church of Hazelhurst, and we brought a couple people from our church here with us. And just wanted to talk about some beautification things and some of the concerns that we got with where we're located. Currently, we've purchased, by the grace of God, we purchased the former Crystal Palace, what we now call the Crystal Palace Impact Center. We're hanging on to the name Crystal Palace because we wanted to still be historical to our city, and then just trying to connect it to our 21st century generation with the term Impact Center. What we want to do, we want to speak to you all about possibly helping us come on board with the paving and lighting of a parking lot. We've got several things, three main points that I'll mention to you. Number one is safety. We will have not only Sunday morning worship there, we also will have evening events, different community events that will take place after hours, and sometimes it'll be dark. And right now there's no lighting on that Latimer Street in that area. There's no lighting in between our building and I think the old Henson building is what it's called. There's no lighting in that area, no paving. And we will have elderly there. We also have handicapped that will come visit. And most importantly, we'll have our youth that are there. And we think that the lighting not being there, some paving not being there may cause some issues. Also with that lighting not being there, rodents, snakes, we've killed a couple snakes already. Some of the snakes kind of crawl up, and we just think with it being paved and potential lighting, that'll make those rodents as well as those snakes a little bit more visible, so we can handle that issue. And also,
Chamber, can I interrupt?
Yes, sir.
Which is the Henson building?
I think it's called the Henson Building. It's the building that's, I think it's on William Street, and it faces.
No, it's on Latimer. You're talking about we're down by the old red barn, right?
It's adjacent to Crystal Valley.
Nah, they're actually on the other side, so it's on Williams.
It-
It may not be called Henson.
Oh, that's,
Well, Wallace used to be.
With all
Oh,
laws,
okay.
Right. Yes, sir.
Okay.
So our building is right adjacent to our building, so we're kind of, the area is in between those two buildings. Also, another idea with safety is the parking. So right now, there's a lot of cars in that area that park on the street, which is potential danger. Even when we have worship, sometimes we have to park on the side of the street, so that, just because there's not enough parking there. So those safety things, and also crime, we want it to be a safe area, we want it to be safe for those that come in, and we want to avoid people robbing and stealing in that particular area, because you have other businesses there, not just our church, not just our facility. So that's point number one, just dealing with safety. Secondly, beautification. I've talked with several people, talked with some of you actually, just about beautifying the downtown Hazelhurst area. Our ministry, the events that we'll host there, will attract many people from different cities around the state, actually from different states. Already we've attracted many people. We've seen about 1,500 visitors come to our facility since we opened up. And we want to make sure that Hazelhurst is remembered for its beautification. And we think that by paving and lighting this parking lot, it potentially add beautification to the downtown area when visitors come in, even residents of the city. Some of the pictures that my assistant pastor here, Mr. Billy Alls, has, I'll let you look at those. These pictures show some of the holes that are caused by the rain. And not only is it hazardous, it's also an eyesore when people ride by. And again, we just think by paving this area, by lighting this area, it'll help with the beautification in that regard. And also the third thing is just protection of our investment. We've put a lot of money into purchasing the facility, and we've also put a lot of money so far into renovating it, and we will continue to put a lot of money into renovating it. And we want to protect our investment. And if you look at one of those pictures, it'll show you that because our building, around our building right now is actually below street level, it causes when the water builds up, because along Latimer Street there's no sewage there, there's no place for the water to run, so it builds up. And when it builds up in our grass area, there's also no place for that water to run. There's a trench or a ditch in the back, but the water can't get there because of the way the ground is set and it's set below street level. That begins to sit, and over this hurricane that we just had, Irma, it actually filled up our building on the inside, on the floor. It filled it up about 2 feet. And we had to drain and pump all that water out. And we believe, and we've been told by contractors, that if we can pave around that building, that it will help eliminate that water coming in, because it's been said that there's a live stream that runs underneath the water to why there's a built-in well on the inside. So we have a pump attached to the well, sewage pump, that keeps pumping the water out. But we just believe, and we've been told by contractors, that if we can pave around it, that will help us with our investment on that facility because of the lack of drainage that is there. So those 3 things, safety, beautification, and to protect our own investment, is why we wanted to present a proposal today that maybe we can work out something with the city. I'm not sure on how we can potentially get that area paved and how we can get that area lit up. We want it to be not just an inclusive or exclusive area and parking lot. We want it to be a parking lot for the whole downtown area. And I believe that people, if they have a safer place to park, place to come, it'll attract more people just to downtown. If I can park and I can safely come down here, I think that more people will come. As it progresses, I believe that it's going to be a progressive area, that businesses are going to continue to open up down that way. And I just believe that if we can work together somehow to pave and light this area, that will be a joy for our city as well as our ministry, protecting the investment and beautifying the area for our city.
Gentlemen, you have any questions for Mr. Craig?
Let me, this is just a stopgap measure. This is not something to solve your problems, but it occurred to me every time I come to town from where I live, I go by the Baptist church, where and I go on that road that goes by the museum. You know what I'm talking about, where the old school was that they just tore down that road?
Yes, sir.
And the Baptist church has some, I guess the city, Jeff, did you get one of those cones that they use there? Do you know where they came from?
Jewel Howard.
Okay, well, they've got some cones. And you know, I think we've told you before that people can park, by the old city hall, you know, there's a parking lot across there.
Right.
And if we can get you some cones, then, you can put them out at the street, and that will help with safety a little bit. I mean, that's just a stopgap, that's not going to.
Correct.
But I think that I think that would be something that helped you a little bit until we, you or whatever, address the rest of the problem. That's just one thing I'm thinking.
Okay.
And, I don't know if we could, since it's a city street, can we provide them with cones to put out there, do you think?
We've got a good many cones, we
Yeah,
could
just,
just, we've got a good many.
And then they park there, and it's on, and the security lighting, I think we.
Is a portion of that lot the city's?
Yes,
Where the,
yes, where the caboose is sitting, yes.
But I'm not real sure, and maybe our attorney can look at it, where our property ends and the churches begin.
I'm actually familiar with it. It's
Okay.
where we got the, little concrete dividers around the caboose, that's our property line.
Okay.
That parking lot they have is actually private property, they own that.
Okay. And let me, I talked to Millie about, you know, I found, I get news releases from every organization in the state, and there was a thing that came out where the Georgia, what was that, the Georgia Council for the Arts,
Theaters, yeah.
and they had funds available for renovating old historic theaters, which I think Crystal Palace was. But the problem is that it's a church, and I don't think the state would. You know, if you could talk to your attorneys and see if there's. I mean, I understand you want it to be a church, it would be tax free, but by the same time, same token, if you changed it to more of a community center rather than a religious, you'd be available for more funds that way. Now, I don't know the answer to that. That's something y'all will have to.
And that's the
And I don't know.
That's the effort we're making to why we didn't call it Impact Church, why it's Crystal Palace Impact Center,
Okay.
so that we can continue to have
community events as well as worship. So we're not deeming it as a church, but we're a ministry that worships inside the center, if that makes sense.
But you're not taxes, I mean, you're not.
But we are.
Okay. Are your taxes in because you're
Yes.
You know,
Right.
that was just, you understand what I'm saying? You know,
I think too, Joe, we, on lighting, I think we can help you there almost immediately.
Okay.
I think that we can, look the situation over maybe on either side of your building. And, I think the lighting will be a fairly easy problem to solve. The paving, of your private property, since you're, willing to, let it be downtown City of Hazelhurst property, we'll let the attorney help us, analyze that. But as a general rule, for us to get over on private property, on your property and pave, we don't have, the authority to do that. But we'll have to look and see. But I think lighting, and I think perhaps, with your, drainage situation, I think that I can, take my instruments and shoot some elevation and see what we can do about helping you to get some water away from your building, and I will do that for nothing, as a private person, since I've got all the equipment to do that with. But we'll certainly, as far as those two things, I think you can pretty well count on us.
Absolutely. And you know, and here's another thing, you might, and I'm just thinking out loud, I'm not suggesting this, I'm just thinking out loud. If y'all were to deed that property between the caboose and the building to the city, then we may be in position to pay.
I would be in favor of that.
You see what I'm
too,
saying?
Because it would enhance.
But I'm not sure that's something you want to do. That's something you're going to have to decide. I just don't know, but we can't pay it right now. It's private property. You see what I'm saying?
But he's absolutely right now, if, and all you want as far as parking anyway, the only thing, here's the problem that you got to consider. If there's a parade downtown, and you've got something going on in your property, and everybody all over everywhere parks on that parking lot, they've got as much right to it as anybody else. So at any rate, that's something you'll have to analyze. But this is a work session, this is a listening session, that's what we're doing here tonight. So you've presented your case very well, and we understand where you're coming from, and we want you to be successful. You put a lot in it, and I know that. And of course, you know, we've tried to help you. But we will certainly, but I don't want to cut anybody short. Anybody else got any
You
suggestions?
didn't say that you all, or you and I talked about this before, but you actually have it established under Impact Center.
No, we are 501c3 under the church. But we just named the facility as center to keep it open to community events, not just, I don't even want to use the term secular and sacred, because it's not church-related events. If that makes sense. And we want to be able to have other events in there for the community.
Well, Madam Attorney, is a 501c3, is that what you said? Is that specifically religious, or is that just nonprofit?
No, that's a different purpose.
Okay.
But you can, and we'll discuss it some more during the week, and maybe, I don't know whether we can get to the point we can make a decision about closing out anything or not. But I think, and y'all, if council, if y'all see me make any error here, but I feel sure Georgia Power, we'll get with Georgia Power and give you some lighting. I don't think that's a problem. And then number two, I know that I can get there and help you with looking at what to do about your drainage. That won't cost the city anything. Now, the thing of your floor being below ground level in there, there's not anything I can do about that. All I can tell you is just keep your pumps working. But we'll try to help you get the water away from there. But other than that, I don't know what else we can tell you tonight. Eric, you got any suggestions?
I really don't. I think y'all took it and put everything out on the table that we can do at this point.
I have one other thing. I went by there and looked at that. You know, we've had that drainage ditch behind the old Wallace, which runs behind my
Right.
property. And I remember years ago, I mean, it's long before I got on the council, that this back in the 80s, or they couldn't get a drag line in there to clean that ditch out.
Right.
It was a real problem for the city council. Jeff, would you just sometime, I know you're real busy right now, but if sometime, just go back and look at that ditch and see if there's anything you can do with it. You know more about it than I do, you know, and just look at it. Okay? That's a city ditch, as I understand it, back in there, right? Just look at it.
Yes, Charles.
The city has a problem with this project because we were supposed to get with the fire marshal, with the chief Waston, and that's, you haven't been issued a COO and you haven't ever picked up a permit. So that's got to be resolved. When the fire marshal has got to approve your building and Charles and I told you that.
Right, well, I was under the impression that Mr. Jeff from the state called, because after the fire marshal and another gentleman that was once a part of the fire department, that's no longer a part of the fire department, came through the facility and gave us some bad news. I then personally contacted the state fire marshal, I'm guessing, and he was supposed to get in contact with you, so I was under the impression that he did, but I will go back and follow up and make sure that I do that, and me and you spoken, so I'll come make sure I personally speak with you, and I apologize for not following up, but I was under the impression that he contacted you, so I apologize for that.
He hasn't me. Is it you, Charles?
I actually had the former fire marshal, Scott Carlin, who came and looked at it, and he had also called in, he called the state, and the state did say that he'd have to put a sprinkler system in that building, so that's something we've been talking about.
Right.
And he's supposed to be getting some prices on what it would take to do that because of the amount of folks that would be inside the building, and actually the load inside that building, they'd be in a charge, so.
But when I contacted the state, what they told me is it's called an existing facility or something of that nature. And he said as long as we're not changing the structure of any of the exercise, that we wouldn't need a sprinkler system. But when we came in, there's a sprinkler system in the back that we'll just have to get you to, that clearly when he was evaluating, he overlooked because there's a sprinkler system in the back that we'll have to just get you to come back in and look at because it's there. And for whatever interesting reason that day, he didn't notice that sprinkler system that's in the back. And again, as I was told by the state, I called after we had our meeting, and he told me, and I don't have the terminology correct, it's been a couple months, but he told me that it's an existing assembly. And he said, as long as we don't change the structure of the building or any other exit doors, we will not need the sprinkler system. So that's what I was told by the state.
What about parking? What about parking?
What about it?
If you're gonna have so many occupants, you gotta have so much parking.
Right, that's why I'm here today, asking for a parking lot.
Okay, I think we've heard your plea, and you know that we're here to help you.
Yes, sir.
This is the type of thing that's gonna have, we're gonna have to have a group with Charles and the fire chief and all. We all have to get together and work this detail out. We don't need to keep the whole council, everybody here with their other situation tonight. So I think you've presented yourself well, and we know what you're trying to do, and you can count on us now. Stay with these issues we're talking about, and we'll continue to try to help. And we congratulate you on your effort and enthusiasm, and stay with it.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Okay, our next item is the Piggly Wiggly application for the beer and wine license. I've talked to the manager. Thank y'all.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. I've talked to the manager of Piggly Wiggly, and they're ready for us to do what we need to do to get this thing approved. And that they think, and Ms. Bernice, is this correct, that they jumped through all the loops now?
We like one more document, needs to drop that off to me tomorrow.
Really? You thought he had it all in?
Yes, but there was a document to run these were the documents that were given to me in the original packet. And there is what we have to, a criminal background check report, and it's one that is mandated through the state with the police department. And he's already got that. He said he will be seeing me tomorrow, and that's all I've got to have. And I don't foresee any problem with Mr. Kugel as long as he's been in business.
Okay, well, he's wanting us, I can tell you this, council, he's wanting, he's got all of his coolers, his rack, he's got everything ready and ready to move. So is it possible that we can jump through this loop this week and be ready for Thursday?
Yes.
Thursday, probably.
That's what I'm talking about. Can we be ready for Thursday? Well, I'm gonna tell you, we're gonna try to be ready and get him situated by, all the other criteria, by the way, for those that, may not be aware of it. We've checked every single aspect of issuing this license where it is. My church is across the road. The distance is adequate from the building and facility to our property at the church, and we're satisfied with it, and it meets the requirements. So everything's been met except the background check.
Right.
And we're hoping that's gonna be done before Thursday, and we can approve Thursday night. Okay, can we move on?
I just want to mention just a moment of levity. I was going back through the paper this week, and 25 years ago, this week, the Hazlehurst City Council issued the first beer license.
Really?
In the city of Hazlehurst. Wow. They agonized over it.
I believe it was Judge Dial, Cicero Fowler.
No, I'm sorry, the city council.
Oh, the city council, oh.
And the funny thing about it was that Eugene Allen made the motion to approve it for Winn-Dixie, which is the old Harvey's, over there, and nobody would second it. And I was at the meeting, there was 30 seconds of silence, and that was the longest 30 seconds I've ever been in.
When did you finally get a second?
And they finally, and finally, nobody would second, so Buddy Spade came there, and he said, well, it fails for lack of a second, and Nathan Deaton, who was the city attorney, he said, I'm telling you, before the end of the day, Friday, we'll be sued over this, because there was nothing legally they could do about it, and there's nothing legally we can do about it, to this day. And finally, they voted 3-2, and Eugene Allen and Buddy Spann and Wayne Fountain voted in favor of it, and Oscar Hewlett and Raleigh Spell voted against it, although they didn't have a legal leg to stand on. If we voted against it, we wouldn't have a legal leg. Anyway, I just wanted to add that.
Okay, maybe we're good. That's good history. Thank you. Maybe the background check can be accomplished by Thursday. We'll try to move, but they are. He asked me a day or two ago. I was in there, Mayor. What can I do to move on it? So we're trying. Okay, number 5. Who's heading this one?
Mr. Purcell.
Well, I did. You asked me if we wanted to put it on there. I really, John, I want you to understand this. We've got, and I've gotten where I'm a short timer now. I'll be out in December, so I can laugh at all this stuff. It used to aggravate, but we have a purchase policy where if you purchase, y'all help me with it. Is that one? No, there it is. Let me just look at it. If we purchase up to, let me see, the department heads can purchase up to what, Jeff? $500 without getting council. Then it's $500 to $1,500. I think you have to have two. $2,500 and over, you have to have everybody in the council, I believe. And anyway, here we've got a $39,000. Well, anyway, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. Nobody adheres to that policy. The money is spent, and after it's spent, we get the things that will approve it. And I just think it's silly. It used to aggravate me, now I laugh at it. But that's only, here's a $39,000 expenditure that's been spent, and Laura, I think you've said they billed us twice for it.
Yes.
So it's spent 2 years ago.
I would have billed you twice too for that kind of money.
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted you to understand that policy.
They billed it twice.
They billed once and then we didn't get it within the same, the allotted amount of times we billed in the past.
What were you saying about it, Opie? You have to.
I was trying to understand why the hell we got billed twice on it.
It's called a second notice.
We got a second notice, yeah. We didn't pay it first.
Well, that was one of them things that you couldn't foresee the cost of it, because we had to make changes right in the middle. EPD come up and said, no, we don't want this, we want this, and it's gotta be done this way. And then you had to get engineering approval on it, and there was no way we could determine the cost ahead of time, but it was something we had to get completed. And it's also future too, because we can use, if we get engineers to approve the other door, we already got it set up to go on the other side.
That's fine, but I'm just saying,
But I mean, that's gonna save us money in the future too.
works.
If we don't follow it, it's worthless.
Huh? Yeah, we don't follow this worthless, that's right. Anyway, that's all I want to say about that. We can prove it on Thursday night.
Okay, anything else relative to this bill? I do think, and Opie, I appreciate that, this is not one door, this is two doors. And maybe, and I don't know, maybe we can get the structural engineer to approve this one and use it on the other side. If that's the case, it'll be $20,000 a piece. But anyway, I'm not sure, we just have to see. Anything else on this item? Okay, we'll handle this Thursday night. Okay, veterans, we're glad to have y'all here. Mr. Anderson, I think you and your group are on. If you would, okay.
I'm Birmingham. I'm a member of the Jefferson County Veterans Association. We had a meeting and the topic brought up was the city, could the city do anything for its veterans? And there was some of us veterans got together and we started looking about this Purple Heart. And we found out that the county's covered, grandfathered in Fitzgerald, but the city wasn't. And so we looked at what we could and found out it's not to represent the Purple Heart veterans totally. It's to represent any veteran. And me and Mr. J.T. Nash were assigned a committee. And we met with you there in your office. And we asked you about it, asked you what you call proclamation. And this is a follow-up.
Sure.
And I'll be on the next city council meeting. So that's what we're here tonight. It's just representing all the veterans.
Tell me, I don't understand what the Purple Heart City.
If you make a trip to McCray, Georgia, coming out of McCray where the Statue of Liberty's at, you'll look over there, there's a painting on the wall, the old brick wall, it says Purple Heart City, and it's got a Purple Heart. Mr. J.T. Nash is wearing one on his hat. But a lot of people thought that Telfair County had a lot of Purple Heart veterans. It's not that. It's just that they're recognizing all of the veterans from every war.
And that's just a name they call
It's
it.
just a name.
So we just want to recognize it.
Right.
We need a
Okay.
sign or something.
It'll be placed on the city limit sign, it'll be placed,
I got
a thing, saying it's a Purple Heart City. And, it's recognizing all the veterans of the city.
Does the Veterans Association have the means to procure these signs that we get? Or do you have to, some other outfit have to make them, or?
We'll foot the bill on that.
Okay, but you want this designation on our city limit signs?
Yes,
And you want us to, the proclamation to indicate that the city of Hazelhurst hereby is declared, and the attorney will handle all the wording of this, a Purple Heart city, as well as you want to include, other than Purple Heart somehow or other in it. I don't know exactly, you helped me ask the right questions. You want it to include other veterans as well, some way. How do I know?
No, it's a distinction for the city of Hazelhurst. It'll become one of the 35 cities already in the counties in Georgia.
So it is, the distinction is just for a Purple Heart city.
Correct. We want to
Okay,
be singled out as one of the cities that recognizes its veterans,
Okay,
including the Purple Heart recipients.
Can you get me a proclamation similar somewhere that someone's done so that I'll
I
have
do
it
have
back?
copies of that, but the
Who
committee
is?
has copies of that.
Oh, you have a copy of that?
Yes.
I don't have it with me, no.
Okay, well, I'll need to, if you'll get that to me, and I'll get it to the attorney, and we'll get you a nice proclamation drawn
I
up.
think I provided you one at our meeting with me and Mr. Nash.
Did you?
Yes, I think
It's probably still in there on my desk. I'll look when I get
the,
to it.
copies of it.
Yeah.
You want to find your copy, you want me to find mine?
If you left a copy, it's there. I haven't destroyed it. But I thought we had determined that you would come back to the council to get, approval for it at a later date, and I didn't realize that that was,
So this is follow up on it.
I understand. Okay, you
Now,
think
we'd
that,
like to get on the next city councilman meeting if possible.
well, we can approve this, I'm sure, y'all, a Thursday night without any problem. And I'll look, and if that's what you want drawn up, that won't be the problem either. In fact, if you've got a sample in there, can you get that drawn up to me on Thursday, if there's a pattern to go by there?
No problem.
No problem. Okay, we should be ready for you Thursday night. Look here, have you got another copy?
I'll try to find mine.
Well, I think if you left one in there, it's in there.
Or you can get a hold of a copy, correct?
Once we get the proclamation with the city seal, it'll go on to the National Registry. That's what we want. We want a copy of the proclamation, you get it on the National Register, that we're one of the Purple Heart cities.
All right. See any problem with that? Sure.
What organization manages that?
It's an individual, private group that's doing this. It's a national registry, so it's a pretty well-known organization.
I was just actually trying to find a website on it. Do they have a website, do you know, or?
I'll get it for you. I don't
Okay.
have all.
Try to work on it now.
I gave what information I had to the committee, so I have to go back and get copies of it.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that that was everything we needed. I said, look, come back to the council and bring this and present it, but if he gave it to me, it's in there. I'll find it. It's in there. All right, well, I'll find that, and if you would get with me, if you can you get with me in the morning?
Yes.
And, Roy, can you come and help me too with, a little information about how she can find out a little more about the organization so that we can help you. I may want to change the wording on the proclamation a little bit.
No problem.
Yeah, all right, get with me in the morning, and I think we can be ready for Thursday night. Thank you, here.
Thank you.
All right. Yes.
Did I understand you when we were in there talking, you had a brother-in-law that was killed in Vietnam,
Absolutely.
pilot,
Yes, sir.
when he received the Purple Heart. He was,
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. Mhm. Sure did, he was killed in Vietnam. Yeah. Okay, is that all now?
That is,
All right, okay, thank you.
thank y'all very much.
Yeah, thank you. Who's gonna handle the public parks use ordinances update?
That would be me.
Okay?
Chief Williams and I have met and discussed the public parks use ordinance of the city of Hazelhurst. And there is some things in there that we probably need to add to this thing. One of it being a curfew, because you do have a curfew for the city of Hazelhurst. And he's recommending 12 midnight, and they would need to be out by 1 a.m. Also, we designed a tentative application or permit when you go into the parks and you ask who is responsible for the event. They'll say, well, so-and-so is. If we can have an individual come in and pick up this event application and/or permit, it gives us the name of the person, the type of event, the date of the event, the time frame, how many will be in attendance, and which park name. They will have to sign it, bring it back to us, and as you see at the very bottom, each one of you have a copy of this in your package. It says, I blank, upon signing this application for the requested use of said park hereby, will be the responsible party for said event requested and have received a copy of the public parks use ordinances for the city of Hazelhurst, Georgia. Please make sure that you read and review this, and if there's any updates such as the curfew that we need to input into the ordinance, we need to get with Ms. Bennett and or Mr. Smith so that they can revamp and add that to it. But this is something that we need to have on record so that we can hand this out.
Okay, that's, Ms. Bennett, we may be overloading your platter between now and Thursday to make the recommendations to change the ordinance. And I think that too will require 2 or 3 readings, will it not?
The ordinance requires 2 readings, but we can't have this ready by Thursday. No, we
I
need
didn't
to.
think so.
They passed, the council back in the 90s passed an ordinance with all that in it. What happened to it?
It's here, but they want to add an item or two.
But I thought it had, I remember going to the meeting, and I thought it had a curfew, a time when it's supposed to close.
I was thinking we had a sun-up, sundown rule.
It was something,
Well, this was the ordinance that I found. If you look at the copy that's in your packet,
I
it's
saw
dated
that.
November the 15th, 2007.
2007?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I remember it being passed, and I thought all that was in there, maybe.
And what date were you seeing, Commissioner?
I'll look
Bruce?
back and look at in my stories that I wrote, because I wrote a story on it.
Okay, okay.
I'll look back and see.
All right, we, again, we're going to ask for the impossible here, to take this and for all of us to look at it and begin working on it. Now, another thing, who all was involved in the application here? You and
Chief Williams.
And yourself, okay. And we'd like for the attorney to look at that and see if there's anything they need to modify with that.
And
But
again,
this-
I'm not asking for the approval this month. It needs to be looked at because we're getting so many requests for the parks. We need to have something in place.
Well, I see.
And not,
Excuse me, I'm
not
sorry.
2 or 3 months down the road. Let's begin the process.
All right, Ms. Attorney, I'm going to ask you to take the application that she has, research the ordinance, and then maybe between now and next month, we'll have everything ready to start the modification process. It will take 2 or 3 readings to modify it. Yeah, at least 2. So it's going to be a month or 2 in getting this done, but we will go to work on it.
I do have a question. Does our parks have the lighting to support after dark activities?
This one does over here. I don't know about the others.
Yeah, they got lots.
It's minimal.
Yeah, we got street lights, that's about it.
Okay, so they got, okay, that's what I need to know for.
And the curfew is still in the ordinance, but it's between midnight and 5 o'clock. You can only be out if you have official business to take care of.
I think I have a problem with that. And I think we need to discuss that part, that from midnight to 5 o'clock, to tell people that they have to be in their home with no problem.
You can't have a curfew on anybody over 18.
Okay,
This is
that's what I was thinking.
You can't have a curfew.
We need to, I think that was one reason that Ken and I, well, we talked about it the other day, and I thought we had it pretty well together. But, you know, I just have a problem with that.
I looked at something, I don't believe you can have a curfew on anybody over the age of 18. I looked at
But
that.
we have the problem,
The parks you
we
can't
can
have.
close the parks
Yes.
at 5, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what it's
But you have-
mainly pertaining to, because not all the parks, and that's something that needs to be done too, is a sign that says closed at dark.
Absolutely.
I thought all of them had a sign at dark.
They're not all there, not every single one of them.
I know the cemetery does. I've seen that.
And they don't want all the houses in there.
Unless you just have to. If you have to, you don't know it's dark.
Well, the dead's not gonna bother you after dark anyway. They're not even gonna bother you in the daytime.
You think that? But I'm telling you, the apocalypse is coming.
You remember what party you was talking about? We're gonna have it in a cemetery just to see how you react.
All right,
It's after dark.
it's gonna take some time, as I said, it'll take a month or two, but we'll get busy, go to work on perfected, Mr. Policeman, you help us to, you and Ken, the chief, whatever you think, get with us, and we'll try to make everybody happy. You reckon that's gonna happen? All right, can we move on? All right, what? Okay, Ms. Lori, number 8, you'd come forward and be nice.
Yes, sir, I don't want any money this time. Gentlemen, if we can just go ahead and pop over to page 2 on the packet that I gave. Currently, the city of Hazelhurst is charging for a sewer tap fee $250.
Huh?
And that's the inside city limit rate.
No.
$250 won't pay for the materials it costs to actually do the cutting.
When did
The
they
men-
collect that thing?
The machinery, the time is not being paid for. I've also attached pages 3, 4, and 5,
Here somewhere.
some different cities around us, Alma, Georgia, Glenville, and Waycross, where their sewer connections run $580 for the city, $1,200 straight across the board in one place, and $650 inside the city in another place.
When was ours lowered here?
I'm sorry?
When was ours lowered here? It was higher than that when I was here before.
No, that's just the sewer tap, that's not the road cut.
Oh,
That's just the tap. This has been like this for several years. The city's not out to make money, but they're not out to bleed themselves dry either doing cuts. We're using 3 men, we're using a machine, and we've got 2 trucks that are down for 2 hours. This will pay for the time out, the materials, and the labor, as well as the machinery. When they do a cut, and they have to go back and patch it in, Jeff's crew comes with a coal mix. That's not even being paid for. This is something that has to be done. A raise has to be done for the fees.
the saddle itself would run that fee.
Our street cuts, they are having to be cut. The road has to be cut to do a sewer tap. Whether it be half the road or all of the road, it depends on what side the sewer's on, or if it's in the middle of the road. We have to cut a road. Currently, we're charging $250 to cut the road. That's not even paying for the men to cut the road, the machine to tear the road apart, or Jeff to go back and fill the road.
What she's done here now, and I know you're not through here, but she's given, in each of these cases, she's given you Alma, Waycross, and who else back here?
Glenville.
And,
She mentioned.
yeah, all 3 are back there now, if you'll refer to it, and you'll see the comparisons that she's given. Go ahead.
Well, that's basically it. Now, these are charges that, I've got a proposal for inside and a proposal for outside. And I've got a street cut fee that's currently inside at $250 and currently outside at $375. Now, I'm raising these up. Now, this is, again, the council's decision. But these are charges that will cover the cost that it takes to do the actual taps and to cut the road and then to fix the road. So like I said, right now.
Well, is this in addition to the plumber that whoever doing the cuts gotta have?
Sir,
Are we laying the line and all, or?
we'll be
plumber?
laying the line.
We're doing the whole thing?
We're doing the whole thing.
Laying the line.
This has changed. This used to be, it was up around $1,400 for
This
doing
is
all that.
laying the line in the road. Now, I just did one, maybe 3 weeks ago. A water tap, 3/4 inch meter, a sewer, and a road cut was $2,025. That was it.
Lori, Lori,
Sir.
you're saying laying the line, you mean from the main to the.
We're going from the
property
main
line.
to the property line. And, you know, it's, like I said, it's not out to make money. but it's certainly not, we can't keep using the taxpayers' money and bleeding it like that. We've got to be able to recover some of the costs the taxpayers use when we go up and get the materials we need to do the job.
But now, Lord, you're gonna have a second problem. Some of these older folks that's got these Orangeburg lines and things like that, there's no way they can afford to repair their sewer system then. I mean, that's a,
Now, their plumber will have to come to our line.
I
I'm
understand
talking
that.
about cutting, like if you're gonna go out and build a house and you wanna run to us.
But if you're a senior citizen on a mixed set income, you ain't gonna be able to afford to have that.
Yeah, but if you're gonna build a house, Mr. Hall, you
You
should
talking about a
be
new
able to
house, I'm talking about
afford
repairs.
I mean, if you're gonna build a house or you're gonna put a trailer down and you need a new sewer
I
line,
can understand on a new house, but you're gonna have to put the
these are
same,
tap fees.
whatever applies to one's gonna have to apply to the
Right,
sewers.
that's exactly right.
Exactly, so some of these
It,
people
it
don't
has
know
to be
that.
laid down on the line, this is what it costs to do this job, period.
Well, we're dealing with one now, in fact, we, call it the locate down on, North Williams. And it's an old terracotta line,
Mhm.
and, chances are, it's out in the street, we're gonna have to, cut that, and it's an example like Opie's talking about.
Now, if that's our Orangeburg line, we've gotta replace
Yeah,
that.
but once you get to the right of way, honey, it's ours, but.
Well, the ordinance used to say that the resident's responsible all the way up to the main. So somewhere along the line, the main, it's been changed. That's why I was asking, was that their plumber laying the line?
No, that's us.
So the ordinance has changed now.
I guess so.
Oh, no,
It may not even be a
this is
ordinance.
what she's proposing now, this is the new rates.
Well, I mean, the ordinance for the city of Ayers used to be that the customer was responsible all the way up to the main. That was the original
Now
ordinance.
it's up to the property line.
Now it's to the property line. Well, see, somebody's changed the ordinance.
Property line. As far as I know, it's always been a
The
property
city
line.
always puts the stub out.
Yes, sir.
And then the homeowner comes to
Comes
the
to
stub.
us.
That's always.
That's, yeah, that's what it said. They was responsible all the way up to the main on our stub out.
That's right.
That's exactly.
So that's
right.
under the asphalt and everything.
And I realize Mr. Williams isn't here, but this needed to be brought up and presented. This is something that needs to be done. I gave you 3 cities that are kind of close to us. I realize one of them is a lot larger than we are. But with this Satilla, it's also covering 3 other small district towns too.
And I'll give you an example, talking to the contractors that did the last 5 projects, the Baptist Church, and all. When I told them what our cut-in fees were for their permits, they couldn't believe it. We were so low. So, I mean, we are really low, especially in commercial cut-ins.
Well, I could agree on that in new installations, but if you gotta deal with residents that's pre-existing here, there gotta be some kind of help for them, because some of the people can't afford that kind of money. Especially you get somebody on a fixed income, it's just, they wouldn't be able to do it.
Their plumber has to be able to come to our line. They have to. Also, road cuts, like I said, were extremely cheap. I feel like these street cuts are still reasonably low. Some of those street cuts are $1,800, and it doesn't matter if they go 10 foot off the road. It's $1,800. So I think the road cut fee, percentage raised is still really good. Now, if we'll pop back to page 1, we can take care of number 9 as well. Okay, we've had a lot of issues with, let's say I have a sewer backup in my home, and I call up here, and one of the ladies dispatches out Mr. McKitchen and his crew to take the sewer man over there and take a look. Usually what we do is we get them to pop the manhole. If it's running clear and they do not have a clean out, there's nothing we can do for them. They've got to have a clean out put in.
What have they been doing?
Well, we can't do anything if you
If
don't
they
have a
can do
clean. Yeah, I mean, they have to contact a plumber has to put a clean out in before we can do anything to help them. Also, if we go on that property and they do happen to have a clean out, and we open that clean out up, and it just doesn't come boiling out, we know that is in the customer's line. It should be boiling out if it's stopped up on our part. Sometimes we go ahead and put it in there anyway. We don't need to do That's
Yeah.
a serious liability for the city. That machine can do more damage than it can do good if it's not done the right way.
We had Piggy Wiggly talk to us in one time, we cleaned the bread wrap in there.
Blow them up out of the ground. Look like rockets. Okay.
I don't know what percent of our homes have a clean out at the right of way. What would you guess?
It would be not for me to guess.
It would be a very small amount.
Exactly.
I'd say 25% or less.
Yes, but what we're shooting for is eventually every home and business at the city right of way where our utility, our sewer and water hooks on, there should be a clean out so that we can go there if we've got a problem in our system. And then if it, like Lori was saying, if it's between the right of way of the street and the front yard or backyard or wherever it goes in the house, it's the homeowner's problem, is what we're trying to do.
See, right now, if they have a clean out, we'll help them. It doesn't matter if it's in the front, in the side, in the house, in the back. We need to stop doing that. If it's got, the clean out's got to be on street side for us to be able to.
And that's going to, again, entail a tremendous amount of expense on a lot of people to get that done.
It was a liability on our part, we,
That astronomical.
See,
if we put
for
that
instance-
thing in there and it blows up in their house and tears something up, we're liable.
That's right.
For instance, at my house, just outside the front porch back over there, and my yard goes on out to the street like where y'all are and further. But my clean out is up here. It's imperative upon me at some point to get out, to take this clean out and have it out there in the street right away. And this, we're not supposed to come to this clean out.
Well, that depends on which way it's designed to clean out. Most of them that's put right at the house is designed to sweep up under the house, not towards the main. That's your personal clean out, like if you're stopped up in your house, that you can rod your
No,
house.
that one that I'm talking about only goes to the street, goes out to the street.
Oh, it does, well, most people have got them other ways.
No, that one that you're talking about for me isn't behind my house, it comes all the way through it, it goes out.
So there's two proposals on the first sheet. The first proposal is that if they do not have a clean out, our men do need to stand down until they get a licensed plumber. We need to stand behind that and enforce that. Secondly, a new home is being built. It needs to be mandatory that a clean out plug is installed by the plumber that's doing the lines.
That should be part of our building inspector's
That is
responsibility.
good.
We're doing that, and Bland won't hook it up with us.
But we
You
don't
need
have
to
to
put that in your
install it
ordinance
for
too, by the way.
I found out we
And
were
also,
installing.
not only does this sewer clean out need to be there, but there also needs to be a place for them to cut off the water, so that we don't have to be there. They don't have
We
to-
also don't need to be the ones paying for their clean out to be installed.
I understand.
And that's what we're doing when we're tapping in.
And I think we also are now requiring, Charles, correct me if I'm wrong, a backflow valve, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
That's
on the
actually
new
the
system.
State
On
law.
new system,
Excuse me?
on new systems.
On new systems, okay.
Yes, so that's actually a EPA state mandated law.
You see, and right there where the clean out is in the street, there also needs to be a backflow.
The
no,
backflow
valve.
preventers for the fresh water.
The backflow preventer goes on the water line past the meter.
And the sewer line,
No, they don't put them
not
on
the
the
sewer
sewer.
line? Okay, all right.
If it backflows, it blows up in their house.
God, if you put them on the sewer line, they work us to
We
death.
don't want backflow with the water, like if they were to have a well for their watering, their well could cross-contaminate if we didn't have a backflow for that.
Well, technically, if you find out there's a well hooked to your system, you don't tie them on city water.
Okay, what else have you got?
That is all I have to do.
Gentlemen, you've got your a mouthful that you, we'll have to do a lot and
Oh, I didn't think people with a well could tie their,
They're not supposed to.
They're not
but
supposed
You'd
to.
be surprised at the people that get their water cut off for non-pay that slide around and slip that well on there. We've caught a few of them.
If you find out they got a well, we got the right to discontinue
We
it.
pretty easy to catch now, I mean,
We've caught a few of them.
okay.
But if you find them, you can just continue the water service.
Right.
We can.
Okay,
And
we got-
have-
For the citizens, point, Laurie, if you will, on this number 9 here,
Mhm.
the council has handled this some years back. I remember we went through that whole spiel. I would ask the attorney to look it up, because all this is already in order.
Yeah, with the
We got
cleanouts,
every bit of it there.
they took it, that was put on when, right after I first came on council, it was put into an ordinance at that point.
This is already been.
What I'm asking the council to do is have it enforced by our team. It needs to be enforced.
Well, can you do this? Can you enforce it on a remodel?
I'm sorry.
Like if a contractor comes in to remodel, can you enforce it on
I
that?
think the purpose that this was done at that time was because it was over the old house, old houses, the impact of it. When the city was trying to help those people to make sure that if they was having problems with that sewer, when they put it in, the city would help, but they had to go ahead and get a plumber to get it in at that time. When they done it one time, they didn't go back no more. That's why I'm saying all of this has been handled.
Yes, sir. It's been handled through the proper channels, but what I'm asking is our men need to abide by it.
You're saying it's not being enforced.
Not, no, sir, not in its entirety. I'm trying to stop a seriously messy liability for the city.
Do you respect plumbing and electric?
Okay,
Thank
gentlemen, you got any other questions? Thank you, Lori.
Is that on your?
Any
agenda?
further questions for Ms. Williams? Hearing none, we'll move along. Charles, are you discussing?
No.
Who's doing that? Oh, you are, okay.
September 21st, from 8 o'clock a.m. to 3 o'clock p.m. Mueller Company, and it's sponsored by Consolidated Pipe and Supply Incorporated. There's no cost for this. Dave Gamble and Chris Barnard, we are requesting that you approve the travel expense for them to go to Blackshear at Okefenokee Golf Club for this training. It's on fire hydrants. And again, it's at no cost to the city, other than them traveling down there that day. And this is something that just can go Thursday night.
Anybody got any questions about the training in Blackshear for the fire hydrants? Hearing none, let's move along. All right, water and sewer report is in there. The adjustments, we'll handle all that Thursday night. Check register citizens. Okay, on the mayor and commissioner comments, it's been brought to my attention that we are subject to some liability and other things as well if we don't, some of our applicants for the street, for the superintendent's job that we've posted, we need to schedule interviews for these people and dispose of this situation and get it in line. So we need to ask Ms. Vernice, I guess, to get with the applicants and let them know that we are going to schedule hearings on this and move on.
Did you ever look at them? You did?
What? Yeah, I'll get that. And another thing, when we do this, I want the full council to go through the interviewing process. I want the full council to be involved. Can you all suggest how we, Mr. Griffin, what day of the week is best for you with your work schedule?
Tuesdays are usually better for me. I can take and make arrangements if I know far enough in advance. If Tuesday won't work, Tuesdays don't work for Tommy, I'm sure.
Is that
It's tough, but
We'll see. I mean,
what time are you talking about Tuesday?
I don't know, I think probably it's gonna take probably half a day.
Oh, no, in that case, if we're doing it during the day, y'all, listen, I'm short time, y'all do it by yourself. I know no way I can give up a Tuesday, no way.
I mean, I can always
If it was
swap it
after
for a
hours,
Wednesday or a Thursday if it'll work. I just need to know in advance far enough to do it. I can swap. for a
Y'all the
Wednesday
ones
or
that gonna
Thursday.
have to work with it. Y'all, we don't have to have a full quorum, just have a quorum, and 4 of you will be fine. And I'll trust your decisions on it, okay?
Okay, well,
I don't want to stand in the way of getting
all
this.
right, within the balance, those are, can we all meet with what's good for Mr. Griffin and schedule these things on Tuesday? Does that work for everybody else? Mr. Bloodworth?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? It does for me. Okay, Ms. Lopez, try to get this worked out and arrange these schedules and let us know, and we'll try to get that handled.
Do I need to take the job description off the website or leave it?
I'd say pull it
We'll
myself.
go ahead and pull it?
Okay, anything else? Yes, ma'am. We need to, excuse me.
Go ahead.
I overlooked or bypassed the citizens' comments, y'all, I apologize. Any citizens got anything they'd like to say? Now's the time.
I didn't get on the agenda, and if it's the time or if it ain't or whatever, the sewage problem that I have at the Berkeley Ferry Highway, main that you came out and looked at,
Right.
we had, turned it over, I give it to Eric, and he give it to Mr. Bernice, and they sent it to the insurance company. And the insurance company had claimed to give a statement, had me for what I knew, which wasn't much, and then they supposed to have talked to the lady that was living in the house. And what happened, what did you tell me that was in it behind the apartment
It's a
complex?
check valve, it's sort of the same thing we were talking about a few minutes ago. It's got a little flapper in it that sewer can go out, but it can't come back in. Anything coming back into the house, it's a check valve.
No, he told me that there was a diaper or something down there behind the apartment complex where they took the backhoe and pushed up the pine tree and drove in there with a machine to blow it out. Well, they'd done it twice, they went and pumped it out.
Oh,
And-
you talked,
The day that I carried you out there and I told you to come in and look how deep it was, and you said you didn't want to get your shoes messed up.
yeah.
And
But that's because the valve back there, the check valve was not working.
But it had nothing to do with it being stopped up in y'all's line and backing up on my property. Mine wasn't stopped up at all. Once that they blowed it out, it was all gone. And I turned it into my insurance company, and then I had $1,000 deductible, and they said, well, this is the city's fault. And then my insurance adjuster was with me when you was there. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah, I remember that well.
All right. And I took, and the bill was $2,307.08. And that don't count anything for my time or hauling it off and everything else. And it came from behind the apartments, am I correct?
I don't quite understand what you're saying, Wayne. The problem of the floor of your house is lower than it should have been. And in order to accommodate you with sewer, they went back there and put a check valve so that when you flush your commode and your sewer comes out, the valve opens up and it goes into our system. But if something happens, and it comes back down, if nothing can go in reverse in your house because of the check valve, that's what the city and Bland explained that to me, that when it was installed and put there. And if something had happened to your check valve, or that sewer would have never backed up in your
Well,
house.
that wasn't my check valve, y'all put the check valve in.
Well, we shouldn't have.
But, the day that you got there, you said, I need to put me a pump in, a lift station.
Yeah, I recommended to you.
Yeah.
I recommended
All right.
to you. Wait,
That
wait.
house, I've lived there ever since that I've been alive.
Yeah.
And we have never had any problem. And it used to come out of the nursing home into that manhole. It was coming out the manhole there, you know. And then it was going to the oxidation pond behind our house. Well, they cut it loose, you know, and put the oxidation pond. Then they turned around and it still went down the Berkeley Ferry Road. Some years back, they took and come there and went down by that canal. and tied in all Greenbrier's apartment.
Yeah.
And the day that you came out there, you told me that you went up there where them boys were, and there was a big diaper or something.
I don't remember that.
Well, I'm with them, take a lot to tell you.
Okay, all right, I don't remember that.
So, I mean, but anyway, it took and flooded the house. And I turned around and went in, done myself, I had to rent a motel for the people to stay. Called Mr. Ballinger, and he said, I can't put my equipment in there. And so we tore it all out, bleached it, done everything. And I never charged a penny of anything that I done, just trying to get the cost of the carpet. And I didn't make the copy for everybody. Eric, did you ever give anybody a copy? Just Bernice.
She's got a file in her office.
So that's what I'm coming, if I understand, if it's in my pipe going from the house to the road, then, and it backs up in there, that's my responsibility. But when it's down about 150 yards beyond my place and backs up and comes up and goes up the wall that far, that's not my responsibility.
Well, I'm sorry that Bland's not here. He's the water and sewer superintendent, as you know, and he and I talked about this extensively, and it's been turned over to the insurance company, and everybody's examined it, Wayne. And here again, you know, I'm an accommodating person, but from what I understand, and Bland is not here, the situation at your house was such, see, if it had enough fall.
It can't fall if it's out there at the top of the
Well, I'm just
manhole.
I'm just telling you.
You're smarter than that, man.
I know that. The check valve would not have been put there if it wasn't necessary to keep reverse from coming back in that house.
When I took, and I rented that house, and then I quit for about 5 years, and most people around there remember the trees was up way bigger than the house. I went in there, and when I went in, it had done happened one time before. And it had went all the way. We tore out every piece of sheetrock, the walls, everything. They were molded all in it and everything. We tore it all out, every window, every door, everything on it, and redone every bit of it. And we never had no problem when it used to go behind the house. But you told me that day that it come from the nursing home.
I didn't even see a file or anything on this. Bernice has got it in her office.
And see, I didn't know he was gonna be here, or I could have included everything in the packet.
Well,
And
I'm not telling y'all that you got to make a decision now. I mean, it's been 3 months, and I had given Eric probably a month ago, and then he said the storm's coming, I understand all that. But,
I followed up with Bernice and Bland, and I thought I talked to Tommy about it, but I may be sadly mistaken. But I said, I thought I talked to Tommy, and I hadn't gotten the rest of y'all, because the time we got with everybody else, then last week happened and everything, when I talked to Bernice the first week. Like I said, so I haven't got a chance to speak with any of y'all other than, I think I talked to you, Tommy.
I didn't know anything about it until Wayne came today.
Well, I thought I talked to you down at the store the other day, but then again.
I told
I'm
you,
getting so old,
when
I
it
forget
happened,
everything.
and I went by Dwayne, and it happened on Tuesday, and I didn't go by Tommy, so
We discussed, Bland and I discussed it a good bit, of course, the insurance company, I just looked at it.
The insurance company said that I talked to the man, he said that the city, once they got called, went out there and pumped it out. Then they thought they had it and they left, and then it came back and it was even worse. And they came back. Do you remember when they went with the backhoe down to the ditch and things?
No, sir.
Can you ask the insurance agent to put that in writing and get it to us ASAP?
It
So
was
we
his
can
office
understand.
insurance agent, I don't even remember his name. He
Oh.
called me.
Oh, he called you?
Yes, sir, he called me. He
You know
called
what
me.
it is, Bernice?
That's all in that report.
no,
All that wasn't in that report you gave me,
No.
I gave to her.
That what?
What you just told me, it wasn't all you.
No, no, that's what I mean. He asked me, the insurance agent. He called me on the phone,
Okay.
and he called Bland. Bland had to fill out the paperwork. Am I correct?
mhm.
And then
Have you not received a letter from the insurance company?
I received a letter saying that it was not negligence on the city's fault for what it done, because that it was down from my place but that if it was something that the city didn't, he won't know how fast they got out there. I told him, I said, I don't live there, I don't even know. You know, the questions he asked me, and I
Okay,
said, you
so
know.
he asked you questions, I think, different than what was submitted to me via email. So,
He asked
You're
me.
gonna get us a report.
yes, I'm gonna give you everything that's in my file folder in there, including the letter from the insurance company that I received via email. Yes, you will have it by Thursday night. Matter of fact, you'll have it in your hands tomorrow because I will deliver it personally.
I appreciate your time.
Okay, any other citizen or written items on the agenda that anybody, citizen, want to bring up? Now's the time. We've gone a little over the hour, we're doing pretty good there. Commissioners, anybody?
Hey,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna be on the agenda Thursday night.
Okay. All right, anybody else? Commissioners, you got anything you want to add?
I do, I'm not a commissioner, but as city clerk, if you will notice in your packet, Chief Waston and his crew, when they went to Charlton County to help fight the fire, the West Men's fire, you will see a letter from Charlton County, stating how much that they appreciated that our fire department supported the assistance down there. And also you will see attached to that a certificate of commendation. This award is presented to Hazelhurst Jeff Davis Fire Department for dedicated service to Charlton County government in combating the West Mountains Fire, May the 6th, 2017 through May the 26th, 2017. Signed by Sean Boatwright, County Administrator, and Mr. C.L. Lewis, the Fire Chief for Charlton County. I think on behalf of the Fire Department, Chief Waston, y'all did an awesome job. And we are so glad that you are part of our community and a part of the city of Hazelhurst. And congratulations.
Okay, anything else? Mr. Johnson?
Well, wait, let me just say this one thing.
I'm
I'm gonna
sorry.
say it Thursday. I'll probably repeat it Thursday, but, you know, in response to this Hurricane Irma thing, I'm so proud of what our employees did. Jeff, and the chief of police and the chief of the fire department in particular did. And proud of what the county worked. I mean, we really handled this thing well. And we should all be proud of what not only the city of Florida, but the county did too, because they had a heck of a job with us. And our community stepped up, and churches and everybody. I'm just really proud. I'll probably repeat that for the paper. Mary Ann.
I got it right here too.
Good. All right, anything
I
else?
have a executive work session on, for just a few seconds, I promise.
Okay.
What's this?
You want to go into executive?
Yeah,
Wait.
yes.
Let's go into executive session. Just one. Would you make that motion?
Yeah. Last week, the mayor said it's gonna be, or last time, it was 5 minutes, it turned out 30
promise
days.
you
You said
what?
a few seconds.
Well,
Well,
let's get
Is there a second to Mr. Johnson's motion? Second by Mr. Bloodworth. Y'all will be 5 minutes.
In fact,
Wait, that was over 5 minutes.
it was.
Yes.
It wasn't my fault.
10 minutes.
It wasn't my fault.
Good to see you, Bruce.
Oh, you know what, I stayed. I should went on home.
Mr. Johnson, I entertain a motion.
I'll come back in the section.
Is there a second? Second by Mr. Bloodworth. We're back in regular session. Mr. Griffin, would you give us the citizenry report on our session?
The result of the executive section is no action at this time.
That's enough. All right, Mr. Johnson?
Aqua motions.
Second.
By the way, those of you that aren't familiar, that's the motion to
So
adjourn.
moved.
No action taken this time, we waited to hear that. When you kinda realize that won't happen anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, where are you going? Not burning in the morning.
Because somebody called me,
You should have.
I'm a little more.
Good.